So, my disassociation and my spiritual disconnection from the EFF was when it came into contact with government and part of its leaders at the most senior level wanted to just continue with the corruption of tenders in the municipalities.
Okay. Yeah.
And I said that some of you were accused of these things when we were young elsewhere. And this is what you want to do, and then you brag about it.
Yeah, but as a senior leader, your role isn't to correct. To help with the correction.
David, I did that on many occasions.
Yeah.
Like on many occasions. And the good thing is that what I got to learn about political conduct generally is that even when I give verbal instructions, I write down as well. So there are many occasions where, as the chairperson that time of the governance task unit, I would give instruction to all the municipalities, even those in government, that let us insource all workers. Let us abolish the tenders on security, on cleaners and everything else there. But you'll be doing that only to discover later that the people that work with are tendering for security in the municipalities where you are saying
themselves.
Yeah, themselves.
Yes.
And that is the most tragic thing that. And then I realized that there are certain things that you cannot cure, like no matter what you say, no matter what you preach and everything. And some of the problems, the problems, like the corruption, which I think we say it as well in our founding documents of Maibuyena. The best way to deal with corruption in the public service or in the state as a whole is to do away with tenders.
That's the position of Maibu.
Yeah, that is the position of Maibu. We must do away with tenders. Because corruption, and you'll actually even save many people's lives, because even the political killings happen because of tenders. The state has to build capacity to perform its own functions. The state must build capacity to build its own roads, to build schools, to look after its own facilities and buildings by employing security guards internally. The state must have its own capacity to. So
they can procure. They cannot have a division within the state. And if they can, correct me, where they build their own cars, using that example that we touched on earlier.
They can. Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Do you know South Africa for years has been owning Denel, by the way, which builds army vehicles.
Yes, and what is that?
And Roy Flak.
Yes.
Like building fighter machines. Yeah. Highly sophisticated. A Roy Flak is way too sophisticated than a motor vehicle. Yeah, it's way too sophisticated.
Okay.
And
I concede.
Yeah, so the state has got capacity to do far much more sophisticated things. So the state has to build its own capacity.
Meaning that perform. The state...
And by the way, if you were to go closer to the Council of Scientific and Industrial, CSIR in South Africa, and check some of the innovations that they have,
amazing.
They are far much more advanced. So South Africa was supposed to be far ahead of many countries in the world in terms of industrial innovation and industrialization as well. Remember during COVID as well, they manufactured that air machine. What was it called?
I forgot. Yes.
Yeah, that machine which was helping people to breathe much more easier. And some of the European countries bought from the manufactured products that came from South Africa. So South Africa has got far much more advanced capacity to perform its own functions. But you have got people who go into government with the mentality of wanting to get rich quicker or die trying to do so. So that is the biggest problem that we're confronted with. And we can systematically and systemically uproot corruption if we're to build internal state capacity for the state to perform its own functions. But also that would empower as many people as possible. I mean, like and do you know during the consultation process, mostly in the rural areas, the people, mostly the elders who came to give input, they were raising that point very firmly. And unfortunately, they were even giving examples of how the Bantustan governments used to operate. because the Bantustan governments had internal capacity in Kwandebele, in Venda and Bophuthatswana, like in terms of response to the local needs, in terms of service to the people, in terms of public infrastructure. Bantustans were far much better than what the local state is doing now. And everyone else knows that Bantustans, in terms of looking after public infrastructure in local areas, were far much more better than the local municipalities that exist in our areas now, because all these local municipalities, they exist as tendering governments, which must just give tenders to people to perform the functions which otherwise were supposed to be performed by government. So at the root of corruption in South Africa and the public service is a tendering system which must be changed, and then the state is empowered to perform its own functions at all levels. And then, of course, there are so many things. So someone will ask a question as to, what about aspirant business people? So aspirant business people must be given industrial subsidies to go into industry to manufacture goods and products. That is what South Korea did when it was catching up with the rest of the world in terms of industrialization. So do you know, like in South Africa, all these development finance institutions, inclusive of
IDC,
the IDC, NEF, sometimes PIC, NYDA.
All of them, Propeller, I know that one.
All of them combined in a financial year do not grant more than 1,000 industrial support mechanisms and finances. All of them combined.
Wow.
Go and check the history of South Korea when it was pursuing its developmental path. Annually, it was giving developmental finance not to less than 30,000 startups, which got, and they knew that because the startups, some will fail, but those that succeed will create jobs, will quantitatively and qualitatively expand the economy of their own country. But in South Africa, we do not have that. If anything, industrial subsidization, particularly of innovators in South Africa and those who want to enter into new industries, is almost non-existent. So if those who want to go into business, government should provide a package of industrial support mechanism and system so that they thrive there, not through tenders, because the current system, majority of the people who are tendering are not even business people. Like, find a person who, the only thing that is business about them is the business card. They don't have an office. They don't even have a spade or one gardening tool, but will be given a contract to build a road. And they don't even know where the building
was. How do they get it? Having seen more than us average people, how do they get these things?
So, do you know the unfortunate reality in South African tendering system is that because, of course, the procurement laws, whether it's the Municipal Finance Management Act or the Public Finance Management Act, the procurement law says that the major determinant of who gets the tender is price. Right?
So the cheapest.
So majority, the cheapest.
Yes.
So majority of the tenderers, they work with supply chain staff who receive the documents.
Okay.
So on the closing date, they say, no, that's fine. Leave the pricing part open. I will price it for you. Then they receive documents.
But that's not allowed.
It's not allowed.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not allowed.
Yeah. So they receive documents from
everyone
all
else.
bidders.
And then they just price it 1,000 rand cheaper. And then they claim that they've got capacity, and then they claim capacities of established white companies that so and so is going to partner with me to build a road and everything.
But that has no profit, though, is it? If you are the cheapest amongst all bidders, even those that submitted correctly,
yes,
you can be profitable.
Yes. So
how do you make money from that?
So this is what happens. And then government, whether a municipality or provincial government, pays the establishment money into the company that won the tender. And then if they pay 10 million, it then takes 4 million rand to go and buy a Range Rover.
And then how do they deliver on the...
That explains the fact that majority of roads that were built by this tendering system are no longer existing after 5 years or even less period. Like majority
So
of the infrastructure, the quality is compromised because you cannot be able to keep up to that if you want to compete with the Range Rovers and all of these things that they buy to appear relevant in terms of they celebrate the tenders being awarded. Show me these people who are in business who can say that look at the project that I've completed. Let us shine that this is what I've completed. I've delivered.
Let's shine on the project, not on the cars.
not on the cars.
Yes.
On the cars and the alcohol which they buy in the clubs and everything else, that they will shine about that. But let us be shown the project that they got to do. The system doesn't work at all. And the system has to be fundamentally reconfigured. And the state builds internal capacity to rather pay the engineers and project managers unreasonable levels of salaries. But that is the route that we should take to make sure that the state has got its own capacity to perform its own functions than this tendering system, which is perennially and inherently corrupt. It's almost impossible. My suspicion or my prediction out of practical observation is that more than 99% of tenders, they are issued on the backdrop or on the background of a bribe being paid or promised.
Bribe paid or promised?
Yes.
Because it may not be paid, after it's promised.
And that is how it is. And municipal officials,
but then it means
it's
not political.
What Floyd Shivambu is saying, it is nothing new. It is not something new, especially to people who have been observing South African politics for quite some time, and people who, of course, are not blind loyalists to individuals. They will know the relationship between Julius Malema and tenders in this country. They will know that Julius Malema made his money through the tendering. Remember when Blade Nzimande coined what the term that is now known as the tenderpreneurs? In case you guys did not know, it is Blade Nzimande, who at the time was the General Secretary of the South African Communist Party, who coined the term tenderpreneur, referring to the people who solely do tenders as a way of business, meaning people who have not ventured into other things as part of business, but focus solely on tenders. And Julius Malema is one of the people who are at the forefront of that cabal that is known as tenderpreneurs. The reason that Julius Malema got into trouble with SARS and other law enforcement agencies, it is because of his involvement in the tenders. And remember how they would eventually collapse the provincial government of Limpopo. If you guys don't know that at some point, the whole provincial government of Limpopo had to be put under administration, meaning national government had to take over provincial government, meaning the departments in Limpopo. Because government had collapsed through the milking of the state by tenderpreneurs. And Julius Malema, Castle Matale, because Castle Matale at the time, who by the way is a huge friend, Castle Matale is friends with Julius Malema. So Castle Matale at the time was the premier of Limpopo and of course the ANC's provincial chairperson. When Julius Malema and Castle Matale and them collapsed the government of Limpopo. So that's how Julius Malema was able to live the lavish and luxurious lifestyle that Julius Malema started living back there. Because at the time, Julius Malema was only earning 25,000 rands per month as the ANC Youth League president. But he was wearing a 500,000 watch, he was living in Sandton and all those things. That's because he was making money through the tenders. So it is not surprising that when Floyd Shivambu says, when it comes to local government, the EFF goes into negotiations for coalitions with these other parties such as the ANC, with intention of capturing the tenders within those municipalities. So it goes again to expose the hypocrisy within our political system, whereby they will stand, right? They will stand rooftop saying, do away with the tendering system, scrap the tendering system. Yet they themselves are the beneficiaries of tendering system, including the likes of Marshall Dlamini, who are well-known tenderpreneurs in this country. So this tells you that you should not always take to heart what the politician says, because they say one thing and they do another thing, which is totally different to what they've been preaching. Thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Tebus Kosana. The name of the platform is Izwi Labansundu, the voice for Africans. Kamakuma Africa.